Good. Hey, welcome back to Comedy Pinata. Gotta thank our sponsor, SueTheCollector.com. Credit cards, student loans, mortgages, car loans, hospital bills. Did you know you have a lot of rights if any of these go to debt collections? Well, that's right. Consumers, not debt collectors, have a huge list of rules they have to abide by, and that's where the law firm, SueTheCollector.com, comes in. SueTheCollector.com is a national consumer law firm that only helps consumers. The lawyers Sue the Collector have helped literally thousands of people turn the tables on debt collectors and put an end to illegal harassment, abuse, and repeated phone calls that many people find themselves subjected to through no fault of their own. The lawyers at Sue the Collector can help everyone in all 50 states. They've won millions for consumers over the years and have canceled over, get this, $1 billion in consumer-related debts. That's right, $1 billion. Right now, they really want to speak to anyone that's had their car repossessed. Did you know consumers do not have to allow repo men to take their cars against their will? In most cases, you can actually legally refuse to let them take your car. If you've ever objected to a car repo, they can still get your car. That's still got your car against your will. You may be sitting on a very valuable case. So, call Sue the Collector's office right now at 1-877-BAD-REPO or 1-877-223-7376. Again, that's 1-877-BAD-REPO or 1-877-223-7376. They're open right now to take your call. Again, that is 1-877-BAD-REPO. And thank you once again to our sponsor here at Comedy Pinata, Sue the Collector, SueTheCollector.com. Folks, welcome back to another episode of Comedy Pinata here from the historic Zanies Comedy Club in Nashville, Tennessee. Always a pleasure to be here. Good bones, good mojo, and I am super excited to hang with a gentleman. I don't believe we've ever had the opportunity to cross paths. I've seen your name constantly in clubs, on the posters next week. Oh, he was here 3 weeks ago, and now I get to meet you, Reno Collier.
Yeah.
Great to see you, buddy.
Great to see you, too,
Thank you so much for joining. And you live here in Nashville, correct?
I do, yeah, Murfreesboro.
And you did the whole L.A. scene back in the day. Where are you originally from?
So my family's all from West Virginia. I lived in Virginia most of my life.
Got it,
and
okay.
Then North Carolina and Georgia and then L.A. and then here.
Got it. You guys stuck around Eastern Standard Time, basically, is what you're getting at. Okay.
Yeah.
And where did you start out of?
I started at the Punchline in Atlanta.
Oh, yeah.
Right years ago, man, and it was comedy back then is so much different than now.
Sure.
You know, it was packed every night, Tuesday through Sunday, and I'd bartend, work the door, work the kitchen, and I was teaching school part-time, but like at night, and then I'd trade out. Yeah.
So you're showing up hungover
Dude,
the next day?
Completely. And I was a PE teacher, so I'm in the sun.
Oh, my
just
God.
Sweating
In Atlanta?
in Atlanta.
Oof.
And then I would trade out. Like, I got the job there because I could sign up the lists on Tuesday, so I put myself on it every time, and people were like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Dude, you get a job here making."
Oh, hold up,
$5
what's that?
An hour.
Oh, we got to move the mic closer?
Oh, sorry, man. So I would trade out like
as he moves back.
all the
I put it up, and then Reno's
So-
like,
so
"All right,
what
let
I-
me just
look. Let me tell you about me.
Reno, I'm just gonna go under the table and carry on the conversation." Yeah.
So like all the waitresses were hot, right? So none of them wanted to do anything. So like the woman's bathroom would overflow, the toilet would be jacked up, somebody'd cram, a bunch of stuff in there.
So hot.
Yeah, and then the toilet would overflow, and these girls were like, "I'm not going in there,"
Right.
and I'm in the back like, "I'll clean it up for 7 minutes on Wednesday," and they're like,
Sure.
"No." I'm like, "Fine," and they're like, "Go."
Oh,
So I'd
that's great.
trade out like these shit jobs to be
Literally.
literally,
Jesus
to be
Christ.
able to get stage time, and then I was so stupid. Like I got like 3 weeks booked, making like $150 a week. I quit my teaching job, ditched my apartment, my lease was up, and I lived out of my car for 4 years, just like
That's how it's done.
bing, bang, boom. Yeah,
Right?
Best time of my life.
First year, I lived in a Saturn because I was doing all these Roger Paul one-nighters
Oh, yeah.
along 95 in military towns and, hotels and motels and stuff. And, just dreaming of better days. But again, like you said, I mean, those were, you have nothing. You don't know how you're going to eat. You haven't showered in 2 days. You feel gross. And every show, you're just hoping to meet like a great girl that'll take you in and
You could stay.
help you get through the next day. And you're suffering through all that, but like you said, those are the best years of your life because there's what's driving you. I think is the romanticism of better days. Like you're doing it, you're actually doing it, you're living your dream, but it's all in hopes of like, man, this is gonna get better. But I'm on my way. I'm in the middle of it.
Yeah,
I'm doing
it. And well, the best thing that happened to me is I'm an idiot. I believed people. So like at the punchline, the MC would go up and they're like, "You've seen him on the Tonight Show," and I'm in the back of like working the door, like, "Wow, man, that guy was on he's rich."
Yeah,
like everybody's rich that does it. And then and then I'm like taking these gigs and doing this stuff, and they're like, "Here's $60," and I'm like, "Wait, that other guy was just here and he was on the Tonight Show," and people are like, "What are you talking about? That guy's not in the Tonight Show. He lives in Fairfax, Virginia. He hasn't done, you know what I mean?" And I'm like, so people aren't what they said?
Yeah, no, of course, never. The funny thing, it was in New York City, like you do those showcase shows, which is basically showcase shows like you have 12 or 15 comics on the show, and you have pop-ins. So, back in the day, like Jerry Seinfeld, or Robin Williams, or Chris Rock would always pop into Stand Up New York. And so if you were a comic on that lineup, you had a year or two, the next show that you're bringing up, Ricky. Okay, Ricky has just opened for Chris Rock. It's like he was on the show. Chris Rock popped in. Chris Rock doesn't even know who this asshole is.
Right.
And it's so funny how credits mean so much at the beginning, but literally it doesn't fucking mean jack shit.
Means nothing. And now that I have them, I don't even use them. I'm like, don't say it. Everything's been canceled. I've done. Like, I haven't made one show more than 8 episodes.
The MC's hyping up the crowd, rattling off your credits, and you're in the back going, fuck that. No, don't break. Oh, God, that was a bad. Oh, no.
Yeah.
And it's making you even more depressed.
Yeah, and you're sitting there like, I only sold 200 tickets. Now you're making me, I'm just done. Like, I don't want to come out thinking I'm finished. Let me at least believe the lie now that I can keep going.
Believe the lie.
You know what I mean?
Well, as you know, we watch a bunch of stand-up, and we're going to do that right now. So let's get into clip number 1. I'm going to read off the name. Reno, I don't think you've been here. This is still new. Obviously, great mojo. We'd love to have you back. But as we always do, I pull out the name. You give me first impressions. And this is, Larry the Cable Guy. Larry the Cable Guy. I'm sure you have a strong opinion on this gentleman.
Well, I spent 12 years opening for him.
Yep.
So, I probably will already know this. Good God, that's when he's a baby, man.
Okay.
Look at, we can watch this, dude. I mean, I'm going to be really pinned up for what I could.
I know you have thoughts on him. I'll tell you out of the gates, this is a guy I've never met. He's one of the few I think I haven't crossed paths with, along with you. That's why I guess I haven't met either of you. You guys are making, selling out theaters and arenas, but I've always heard nothing but the nicest things about Dan Whitney, right? Dan Whitney is his real name. I've heard nothing but nice things. And there was a period of time in the late 90s, early 2000s where the alt scene was so massively big. The industry was flocking to it, giving them deals, putting them on TV and stuff. And for some reason, Larry the Cable Guy and Carrot Top became this punching bag for the alt scene. And the people that the alt scene was propping up, I was like, you think about who you'd rather have a beer with. It's like, I'd rather fucking hang with Carrot Top or Dan Whitney any day of the week because there's a reason they're resonating with the rest of America. The coastal elites, I get it, but there's people like him. It's like, are you going to shit on Back to the Future, on Star Wars?
Right.
It's like there's broad appeal in his act. And I don't know, to me, I always appreciated Jay Leno as opposed to Conan. I love Conan O'Brien. I think he's very talented. I love Jay Leno. I think he's very talented. I watched Conan all through my college years, and I don't dislike anything about him. But when people pick sides and was like, oh, this is the cool guy, it's like, no, you know what's really cool? That guy that's the 800-pound gorilla in a comedy club, Jay Leno. That's the guy that's fucking cool.
Right.
Going to Vegas and being a headliner for over 20 years and you owning your own island and having tens of millions in the bank like Carrot Top and still being the nicest fucking human being in the planet. And you go to these shows and I guarantee you'll fucking laugh your ass off because I went to Carrot Top. I saw Leno all the time at Comedy Magic. There were periods of time I was crying at Carrot Top shows. Like, this is one of the funniest things I've ever seen, and people shit on him constantly. It's one of the best shows.
Dude, he would get blasted. And I had friends on both ends of it. You know what I mean? Like when I'd go to LA, people are like, what? And I'm like, you guys, you don't get it. You don't understand it. I've seen him at the Boston Garden sold out.
Yeah.
Blow the doors off the place. You're not grasping it. But I knew him when he was making $500 a week. right, has not changed that. I swear to you, dude. People
That's
say
great.
that about people. Now he's just 57 with $80 million. Like he's a child.
Right.
Like we used to buy BB guns and army men on the tour bus and shoot them, and you know what I mean. Like I get mad in a card game and chuck the cards out the window.
Right.
And I mean he's a child.
Right.
Like, but what he does that nobody sees and that he never talks about, he gives away more money than. I mean, I was blown away.
And you're sitting there going, hey, how about some of your fucking opening act, you piece of shit?
Oh, dude, no kidding. He told me one time, he's like, if I make $50 million, I'm giving you one. I'm still waiting. I know he's not spending it on clothes or anything.
Right, yeah.
He's not,
come on, Toe Mater.
Yeah,
you can fucking kick me.
He's
kick
not
me a
buying
little something.
Cheeto.
All right, well, let's watch Larry the Cable Guy here.
Then I fell asleep. I was watching some NASCAR videos, and I got all horny. And, and I called one of them 900 talk dirty numbers. You ever call them? I'm the only one that calls that number in here. Feel like I'm talking to the UN and nobody's got their headphones on out here. Well, don't call them numbers. I got a girl that stuttered, and it cost me $1,700 on that deal in there. You believe that? I used to date this girl, had one breast bigger than the other, and she got in a wet T-shirt contest last Thursday and took first and third place out there at the contest out there. You believe that? I was so proud of my sister, bless her heart. That's right. I went out with this girl the other day. I was seeing this good-looking girl for about 6 weeks, and then somebody took my binoculars out of my truck, and yeah. But she like going to the Victoria's Secret. You ever been in there? I was in there a couple weeks ago. I was sniffing around in there. And you know what they got in there? Britches with holes in the crotch. You believe that? $24 for a pair of under britches with holes in the crotch. I got the measure. I was like, $24 for britches with holes in the crotch. Good. I got a whole drawer full of them at the house, for God's sake. I bet I'm sitting on $200 worth of undershorts out there.
That's great. I mean, that's just classic joke telling. That's all it is. They're short, quick, to the punch. The first one out of the gates, I was like, Bob Hope could do that joke.
Yeah, dude,
Carson could do that joke as monologue.
His favorites comedians are like Henny Youngman. He's a one-liner guy. And if you look, when he writes his act out, it looks like he's just this dumb redneck
in crayon?
up there going, yeah, it's all in crayon. No, but it is in different colors. I swear to God. And it'll be like green and then red and then purple. And I'm like, what is this? And he's like, done on a special, getting rid of it. Haven't done it on anything on TV, keeping it, working on it.
Right.
Ding, ding, ding. And he's on a computer, and we're on a private jet, and I'm looking at him, and he smells like ass. His shirts are all cut off. He's got a dip in his mouth. And I'm sitting there going like, dude, how did this happen? How did this happen?
Yeah.
Like, and nobody, people write differently, and that's the thing is everybody's gotten into this. You have to be one way, or you have to be another way. If you get up in front of people and you're telling something that you wrote, and people are dying laughing.
Right.
Didn't you do your job?
Right.
Like, aren't you? Are you? Is the job to get up and act like you're smarter than everybody else, and then leave with yourself feeling good, or is the job to get up and make everybody else feel good by telling them about things from you or whatever? A lot of these one-liners. I mean, a lot of that stuff isn't real,
of course,
but it makes people laugh and it makes them happy, and I don't get the rub on that. It's like guys who, I don't want to mention any names, but guys who will be like, that's a science joke. Or hey, what I just said was, like you morons don't get, he just did the opposite of that. And is it lowbrow? Yeah. Is it fart turd jokes? Yeah, but I laugh at that stuff.
They're pretty clever. And when you think you've heard it all, but to go to your point, I hate when comics come off going, that crowd sucked. It's like, no, you sucked.
Yeah,
it's your job to find the matriculation to elicit laughter. That's your job. Yeah. And there are times where you need to become, there's times you need to be a comic, right? You need to be a comedian. When you're in New York or Los Angeles, you need to be a comedian.
Right.
And then there's times you need to be an entertainer.
Right.
And you're an entertainer when you're in Houston. It's Friday Late Show. And a bunch of good old boys came in and they're fucking hammered.
Yeah.
And again, you've got to figure it out.
Right.
No one's going to, you're the headliner. Figure it the fuck out.
Yeah, it's the same thing when like somebody comes out and goes, yeah, well, there's only 150 people in here. And I'm like, dude, that's all you sold.
Yeah.
That's not, why is it their fault? They paid.
Yeah.
Don't take it out on the people. I don't care if there's 2 people there. If they paid to come see you,
yeah,
you appreciate the 2 people. You could have been none.
You know, one of the most depressing, satisfying experiences I've had lately, and we talked about this club before, Atlanta Punchline. I was there maybe 2 years ago. Maybe this is it's just as things are opening up, I believe, from COVID, and I go there, and it's an intimate room, right?
Yeah.
8 people. 8 people are there I think on a Friday, and I walk in, and you know,
oh yeah,
you could feel each vertebrae going bing, 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 out of your back. You're like, oh fuck.
Yeah.
And you know, you go into a depressive state. Where am I? My career? This is so awful. And then you go out, and it's 8 fucking people. And to this day, it's one of the best shows I've ever had. It was so fucking fun because I was an entertainer that night. I was a comic, but I was an entertainer, and I had a total blast. And speaking of that, that's why I like watching Larry's stuff, because we talked about another gentleman before, Billy Gardell and Larry, the cable guy, I think are similar in that if you worked in a plant on a construction site and the whistle blows and it's noon and you grab your lunch pail, who are you going to sit next to?
Yeah.
That's the guy you sit next to. There's certain people that just have this common touch, and there's something in their cadence where anything he says is going to be humorous. So I don't know. I think there's some people that just have comedy gravity, and he's certainly one of them. I don't care who you are. If you've never seen a clip, you could show that to anybody, and they'd be hard-pressed to go, it's pretty fucking funny.
Dude, it's a song. Those one-liners are ding, 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 ding.
There's a melody
ding,
to all
ding,
those
ding,
jokes.
Ding. Yeah, and it's kind of, you get in this flow of one-liners. Billy makes me laugh harder than, I don't know that I can put my finger on somebody who makes me laugh as hard as Billy Gardell.
Well, Billy Gardell is like Larry the Cable Guy with Red Bull and cocaine.
Yeah.
It's just more animated, more kind of like passionate version of him. Like Larry the Cable Guy is a little more kind of chill.
Yeah.
And Billy can get worked up on stage. He gets a little animated. He's not moving around a lot, but
he gets that, you know,
like you got 50 grand on this game? Well,
right.
Calm down, dude. But he is he's fantastic. Billy Gardell is one of the best. I think one of the most underrated comics.
Oh, I do too, man. Like, and people always think, you know, the chick from Mike and Molly or whatever just exploded, and then Billy's there. Yeah. And I don't care about sitcoms. I care about stand-up. Yeah. And when I watch him or listen to him do stand-up, there is just, and he started before me, but we were both in Atlanta and in and out and whatever. And I used to watch him, because when you're a door guy at a comedy club or working behind the bar or whatever, it was, the old Punchline was set up where you were facing them.
Right.
So I'd watch every show. And it was Tuesday through Sunday. So there'd be
good training.
God knows how many. But I'd sit there, and some guys just made me laugh. When Cable Guy came in as a feature act, and he was the freight train of comedy, we had this bartender, and we were all hammered behind the bar. And I mean, I was every night, just bah, 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 and everything was. And this guy, Lee, this fat guy, had gout, right? So he couldn't stock the beers. And I'm going like, Lee, I'll do it, you know, and he's limping around. I got it. Dan goes up as a feature act. And the first 20 minutes of his 30 minutes, after every punchline, he'd yell out, Lee has gout, 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 gout. And Lee's in the back like, fuck you. And he's like, he has gout. And the crowd has no idea what he's talking about. Yeah. And they're dying laughing. And it was one of those moments where you just kind of go, God, this guy just doesn't care.
He can say anything.
And he can say anything, and they laugh.
God.
I mean, Lee has gout. No one knows who Lee is. No one knows why the comedian keeps yelling out that he has gout. And then Lee starts yelling, fuck you back to him. So then it's like this ongoing back and forth from this poor, fat, drunk guy behind the bar going, shut up. And he's like, gout, 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 gout.
Well, I think we know what Larry's new merch will be next tour. Okay, so we scale everything 1 to 10. We're never judging the comic. We're judging the bits. 1 to 10, what do you give those bits? And you know his,
That's
the
hard because,
pantheon
dude,
of his material.
I've seen him tell this live
Yeah.
thousands of times. I would give. We have to choose.
I give it an
between-
8 out of 10. I think they're fucking great jokes. I think those are classic evergreen jokes you could do anytime. I've heard one titty jokes before.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh, okay, are we going to reinvent the space here? And he had a great one titty
Yeah.
jokes.
You know what? He's not paying me anymore. 7. No, I'm just kidding.
Until you get that 50 mil.
Yeah.
Do you remember Charlie Vericola?
Oh, yeah, I love Charlie.
One of the best. His girlfriend had one tit, and she worked at Hooters. She worked part-time.
Yeah.
It's a great joke.
Yeah.
Charlie's the sweetest.
I'd give him an 8 too.
8 out of 10, yeah?
Yeah. And he's really difficult for me to judge because
Sure.
I mean I'm laughing at different stuff. Like I'm laughing at his face and I'm laughing at how he used to be skinny. And you know what I mean? Like there's all kinds of things that I saw in that.
You fat
like
piece
the
of shit. I remember when you had
Dude, my kid. I used to bring my kid on the road with us.
Yeah.
And I was like 260 and just reeked
were?
of booze. Yeah, dude. I got real big. And yeah, dude, I was a ball of dough.
You look great.
Well, thanks, man.
Holy shit.
It
I
was the
would
booze.
never. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. My kids make me keep it in my phone, the picture of me.
When you had gout?
No, I didn't have gout. I probably did and didn't even know it. I had so much fat over it that it.
That's all right.
But I forgot what I was talking about.
You used to bring your kid on tour with you.
Oh, I used to bring my kid on tour, right? So I let him come out, and he'd come out and do jokes. He was like 8 in front of Cable
wow.
Guy. So there's like 6,000 people at the show, and my son's out there telling Smurf jokes or whatever, right? He's like
Crushing,
8,
right?
Killing. So one
He
night,
got so much pussy after
one
the
night
show.
he did
Christ, this kid.
unbelievable. So one night he goes up. My son's on stage.
Can I get you a grape juice, honey?
And I'm like, yeah. How about a juice box?
Sorry.
No,
Keep
you're
cutting
good.
you off.
My son will love this. He loves you, by the way. So he goes up and I'm like, all right, wrap it up. And he's doing some Smurf blue cheese joke or whatever. I'm like, you got to wrap it up. My son's like 8 and he's looking at the crowd. He's like, I'm not done with my set. And I'm like, dude, yeah. I'm like, no, you are done with your set. He's like, no, I'm not. And the crowd's like, let him go. I'm like,
Jesus,
dude,
that's
we got to wrap this up. I go,
Yeah.
I only get 20 minutes. We got to go. I'm like, Gatlin, you want to bring Cable Guy up? He goes, fine. And the crowd's like, yeah.
At 8 he's doing
At
this?
8.
Oh
And he
my
looks at the
God.
crowd, 6,000 people. He goes, hey, you guys ready for the next fat guy? And they go berserk, man. They're like, rah, rah. And I walk off.
Wow.
Dan comes out, does his show. I'm on one bus. He's on the other bus. My son and I are on the bus, and my phone rings. And I'm like, hey. And he's like, you tell your kid to stop calling me fat. And I'm like, what? And he goes, damn it, Reno. He goes, I went up there, and for an hour and a half, I'm walking back up on stage, walking back and forth, just thinking, God, I've really let myself go. that kid. And they would argue. He would argue with my son, like
Yeah.
they're both 8. Like they'd fight over ranch in the green
that's
room
so
and
awesome.
wings and stuff. So one time, my son's mouthing off to him. And I tell him, I'm like, dude, just remember,
That's my boss.
That's my boss. And my
Yeah.
kid's like, I don't care. He's like, eh. So Cable Guy says to him, he says, Gatlin, he goes, I've been telling you, he goes, you know in the Bible it says kids are supposed to be seen and not heard.
Mm-hmm.
And my son goes, yeah, it also says you're not supposed to be fat. And he's like, stop calling me
Oh
fat.
my God.
And my kid's just peppering him, and he'd
Jesus.
lose it. And he's like, fine, no more wings. No more wings. Gatlin, you get no more wings. And he's like, I'll get wings. You won't tell me what I'm going to get. And I'm just saying.
My God.
But to be honest with you, that was nothing. I should have been fired. There were times that I should have been fired weekly with him.
Right.
And he never did. Like for drinking, like screwing stuff up.
Sure.
Being drunk. He never, ever. He would sit and talk to me and be like, dude, I love you. You gotta pull it in, man.
But you also you did the job. If
I
you
did the job.
If you didn't execute those 20 minutes on stage, you'd be gone.
Well, let me tell you
But he
this.
loves you too.
He loves me, and,
And he had you around.
we were that kind of
Yeah.
close where we'd argue like brothers and stuff. But his first arena show
Mm-hmm.
in Raleigh, 17,000 people. I'd been out with Ron White the night before.
Oh, Jesus
and
Christ.
with Ron, you just go, you do your set and say thank you, good night. You don't bring him out. The
Yeah.
lights go out, whatever. The next night, I'm with Dan at his first arena. I walk out, I finish my set. I'm like, thank you, good night.
Mm-hmm. Oh, no.
And I walk off, and he's standing there with his guitar, and he's like, you didn't bring me on. And I'm like, oh, shit. I'm like, yeah, I kind of thought that it was like, and all of a sudden they start playing the song. He goes up, kills.
Of course.
But, dude, anybody else would have fired me.
Yeah, but
You
look,
know?
it's a testament to who he is. You brought your kid out on tour. I don't know how many comics would, like headlining comics would allow that.
Yeah.
Knowing what goes on backstage, et cetera, et cetera. So, well, that's unbelievable. And what is your son doing now?
He is going to film school here in Nashville at Lipscomb.
God bless him.
Yeah.
That's great. That's
Dude, I'm so proud
to be
of him.
8 years old and be that quick witted. It's unbelievable. But the
And to
apple
be-
does not fall far from the tree. Here we go. James Gregory.
All right.
Now, obviously, I know the name. I know the face. Being a new Southern transplant here, I'm not as familiar, so I'm very excited about educating myself. What can you tell me about James Gregory?
Legendary.
Yeah.
One of the best storytellers I've ever seen in my entire
okay.
life. Didn't used to get him. I would watch it when I was in my 20s and be like, I don't.
Sure.
This doesn't mean any. As a grown man and comedian, genius. I find him to be so freaking funny, and he's like, he has the cable guy thing of where it's like you're hanging out with your uncle. Like I know you. I relate to him. Going, I have family. I know
Right.
this guy.
You feel comfortable with it.
Yeah.
Well, it's funny. It's funny you said it because sometimes that goes the opposite. Sometimes you revere somebody when you were never in comedy, and then you get into comedy, and then you see the person, all the tricks disappear. And I remember when I was in college, I was working at a video store, and Martin Lawrence, You So Crazy had come out, and if somebody didn't rent it, I would bring it home that night.
Yeah.
And my buddies and I would sit around and we watch it over and over and over and over and over again. I thought it was the fucking funniest thing in the world. And I was at the Comedy Store. He came in. I said, Mr. Lawrence, oh my God, I watched You So Crazy so many times when I was a kid. Like, I didn't know it at the time, but I think it influenced me. But thank you so much. And he was super cool, super nice about it. And then I was in a hotel somewhere on the road, and it was on. I was like, oh shit, I should watch this. I haven't seen this forever. I didn't laugh once.
Yeah.
The whole time, because it was all energy.
Yeah.
And I was waiting for something, something where there was like a twist, a sense of irony or anything in there. And it just, I don't know, just kind of like, it bummed me out. I was like, oh, fuck.
Dude, I didn't want to meet Will Ferrell because of that. Like,
Oh, really?
we went to a football game, a Nebraska USC game, and I was like, I don't want to. And I hung out with him. The sweetest guy
Yeah.
in the world. But it changed when I watched the movies. It's the same thing, dude. It was like, he was so sweet. Like, he didn't even care. He was like, you have kids, man? How's your
Yeah.
kids? And it was funny because my ex-wife, I'm standing out in the hallway on the phone. We were married at the time, and I'm talking to her. And he's like, who are you talking to? I'm like, my wife. And he's like, let me see the phone. And he grabs his phone, and I hadn't said anything
Yeah.
to her. And he's like, hello? And she goes, who is this?
Yeah.
And he goes, it's Will Ferrell. And she goes, shut up, dumbass. Put Reno back on the phone. He goes, she's a peach. And he hands me the phone, and I'm like, hello? And she goes, who is that, Dan? I go, no, it was Will Ferrell. She goes, are you serious? I go, yes. She goes, let me talk to him. I'm like, no, he hates you. You know what I'm talking about? But it was the same thing. Like, I watched him.
Right.
And as a comedian, I'm still a fan.
Of course, yeah.
Of guys. Like, I did this gala. If I talk too much,
No,
just
no,
be like,
please.
dude. So in Montreal, I was doing this gala, and it was like Louis C.K. and George Lopez and me and Kathleen Madigan and a bunch of us, right?
Yeah.
But Damon Wayans was on it. And before I went up to do it, I was looking at Damon Wayans, and I'm going like, man, I used to in college just get wasted and watch
In Living Color
And Living
and-
Color was
yeah.
my favorite show. It still is one of my favorite shows ever, and just cry laughing. And now I'm doing a gala with him. And and my manager's like, don't be weird, dude. I'm like, no, I'm just saying, man. Like, I just want to. So I go out, and he's going on right after me. I go out and I do my set, and I killed. And I'm so amped up, and I walk over, and he's clapping. And he goes to give me a high five, and I freaked out, and I bear hugged him, and I picked him up. I'm like, dude, I used to get wasted and watch you and laugh all through college. You're the greatest thing. And he's like going like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And they're like, please welcome Damon Wayans. And I'm like, oh, shit. And I like he's tall and lanky, so I kind of put him down. He goes out, and my manager's like, what is wrong with you, dude? I'm like, I don't know. I just got excited. But he came off, and I was like, dude, I am such a dumbass.
Yeah.
I'm and he goes, man, I'll take all the love I can get.
Oh, that's nice.
And he hugged me, and I was like, oh.
That's one of those great
Yeah.
moments, yeah.
I'm sorry, dude. I'm
No,
ADD.
please. You guys good? Yeah. Okay. All right, let's watch this James Gregory bit. I'm very excited about this. Look at that face.
My uncle could not find a job and could not keep a job. He'd fill out a job application, and where it says nearest relative, he'd put 12 miles. And you know where it says in case of emergency call, he'd put like 911. And get this, one night, we was at his house, and there's a lot of people there. It was his birthday. And he was in a good mood because he got some new underwear, new socks, and an oil filter. That aggravated him because he don't have no car.
That's great.
Well, anyway, the Muppets had this TV special. Miss Piggy comes on the TV screen. Bless you. Miss Piggy come on the TV screen, and my uncle says, I bet you that's not a real pig. And you know what annoys you? You can't argue with him. Well, Uncle Robert, I believe you're right about that. Well, hell yeah, I'm right. Let me tell you something, I've been around pigs all my life. A real pig wouldn't wear a dress like that. Not with them shoes. As long as I can remember, folks, he's been that way. Years ago, when we were little bitty kids, watching Saturday morning cartoons, Bullwinkle would be on. And my uncle would go, well, hell, that ain't no real moose. We were just little bitty babies sitting on our diapers like. But we would nudge each other and go, there's a dumbass right there. We just...
All right. Yeah. I think, again, like, to go off what we were saying about Larry the Cable Guy, where there's just some people, they just come on stage.
Yeah.
You know, it's just like, psst, okay, I'm in good hands here. I'm just
Yeah.
going to kick back and relax. He's got, like, I think there's certain people like Larry, Billy Gardell. I always bring up Bobby Lee. There's just some people that just have comedy in their bones, and that's an individual, like, just his face and the oil filter. Sometimes to me, like, when a joke doesn't work well and you're seeing how the comic, you know, kind of tiptoes around it or acknowledges it, those are my favorite moments. It was always my favorite moments of the Carson monologue on The Tonight Show. But seeing him with the oil filter, he threw it in as just a weird reference. And then I think, oh, he doesn't have a car. Oh, that's pretty funny. And then it didn't land. And just seeing him tap dance around that, I
love it.
Well,
Yeah, see,
it's like I tried.
Yeah, I love when somebody takes something that has nothing really to do with the story. That I think that makes a good storyteller, where it goes somewhere you didn't see it going.
Sure, yeah.
And then they can still weave you back in. You know what I mean? Like, this is a weird reference, but like watching Seinfeld, there's always a bow at the end.
Yeah.
Like they always wrap it up and put a bow on it. And somehow the weirdness all connects. And I know James Gregory, it's a lot different. And that was a weird... That's an old bit. Like, that's from the old Punchline when I used to work there.
Sure, yeah.
You know? But his just kind of, you know, I don't even know what the thing don't do. You know?
Yeah.
That just, I know people like that. So it automatically...
Now, I could be wrong. He seems like the kind of guy that's the same off stage as he is on stage.
He is.
He just seems to, that's him.
Yeah.
He's carrying that with him. Like Bill Burr's that way. Bill Burr, you see him on stage, oh, this guy's got to calm down. His blood pressure is spiking or whatever. It's like, no, that's going to happen. That's going to happen in the bus. It's going to happen on the plane. It's going to happen at the restaurant. He's always like that. And to me, he strikes me as that type of individual.
He is.
Yeah.
We used to, after shows, everyone would get together and go out to like Huddle House or whatever. And the way you would imagine him, just if you picture him in a Waffle House or a Huddle House, is exactly what it felt like. Like we all sat around. He didn't drink, and I used to drink a lot, and it's like 2 o'clock in the morning. He orders food for everybody. He's gonna pay for it. The waitress comes over and he's like, "Give us another round." And she's like, "Of coffee?" And he goes, "Food."
Really?
Yeah. And so we all got a whole nother plate of pancakes, eggs,
my
bacon,
God.
and sat there till 5 o'clock in the morning.
And I'm sure he is holding court,
Like you wouldn't
rattling
believe.
off some of the greatest stories you've ever heard.
Unbelievable story. And old
great.
stuff, like about old wrestlers and about old country singers and about that kind of ingrained.
That's
I
great.
love the guy. I think he's hysterical, man.
Those are the best nights, too, as a comic, when you're on the road and somebody's at the other club, and then it's like, oh, let's meet up after the shows. and you're at Denny's, it's 4 a.m, and you're trading war stories. Those are the best nights. When you were saying that, it reminded me of a time I was out with Roy Wood Jr., and the Impractical Jokers were at another club, and we all met up. We were in Arizona. We end up on a golf cart going to a strip club. This girl's in a bikini driving a golf cart. She's like, "You want to go to a strip club?" We're like, "Fuck yeah!" We're all hammered. We get on this thing. We go out, and then she's like, "What are you guys doing?" Because we were leaving. She's like, "I'll give you guys a lift." And it took us 45 minutes to find the Denny's. Because the Jokers, so we got separated. Some of the guys were at this Denny's. We went to the wrong Denny's. So we went to the Denny's. We got there, and we ordered one of everything on the menu that night. And it's just one of those memories. It was so fun. And I got stiff with the bill, which I was like, fuck you guys. But again, it makes it part of the evening. Well, that was a great bit. I think again, it was like evergreen jokes. I'd go 8 out of 10 because I laughed. And I really laughed. I love when you get to break the fourth wall and when that joke bombed.
Yeah.
And I think that joke probably has worked in the past for him. And tonight in this one, it didn't. He said, "Well, and he just kind of shrugged his shoulders. It was like, "Oh, it's worked before."
Yeah, some of this stuff. It's same with Cable Guy. Like if you wrote it down and read it, you'd go.
Well, I think
I like it.
I think Sebastian Maniscalco is a perfect example of that. At least like Larry the Cable Guy, James Gregory, you can read. There's jokes, but Sebastian, if you transcribe his act, like, how is this remotely funny?
Dude, I've never seen him.
How is this? Oh, really? I mean, he is his own voice. I'll say that, and he is damn entertaining.
Yeah.
It's fucking funny.
I know everybody loves the dude.
But if you transcribe it and write it out, and you read that, you go, "What is funny about this?"
Yeah.
And then you see him execute the material. He's fucking hilarious. That is a comedian and an entertainer. He's a performer.
Together, yeah.
He's a performer,
And that's big, man.
yeah.
Yeah.
He's great. I would give this. I would give this a 7 or 8 out of 10.
I'm in the same, but I really like the oil filter. Like I love that
Just
stuff.
that moment. It's so great, yeah.
Just like and he don't even have a car. Like I just love the whole
Just the voice
just the
and
twist and
yeah.
and it doesn't. There's no need for that.
Yeah.
But that's what makes me laugh.
He's the fun uncle.
Yeah.
That's who he is in that clip to me.
Yeah, I mean,
so.
elbowing someone and going, "He's a dumbass." That's not a joke, but it's funny when he tells it.
It's him.
Because of I see that.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay, what do you give that?
I'm going to say 8 too.
8 out of 10? Okay. Here we go. Oh, this is a very Southern episode. Okay, we got Jon Reep. Now, I know you're familiar with Jon Reep. I was saying before we were talking, because you guys work together, but Jon Reep, he was always like a Southern 6, right?
Yeah.
He was an LA 5, and now he's in Hickory.
He's
and
11.
he's working out. He's a Hickory 8, but he's still like a Southern 7. Like
Yeah.
he's working out. He's this thin-lipped kind of like, just like, he looks like a cartoon character.
Dude,
but he's like
yeah.
he's like Jack. Like if he was in West Hollywood and he walked in with those lips, nobody would buy him a drink.
Right.
But then he'd take his shirt off, like, fuck, all right. Yeah. Last call is when Reep's getting the tap
Say
on the
Hickory
shoulder.
again.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hickory.
Yeah.
Hickory. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think of Jon?
I mean, we're doing these Reep and Reno shows together, so
I mean,
he kills me, and we started out together.
Yeah.
And so we were coming up the ranks at the same time, and then we didn't get to see each other because once you both start headlining,
Sure.
you're gone. But then coming full circle and seeing him again now, his energy and his pop in a joke where it may be a loud noise, it may be something, but he's gotten to be where he's molded in. He used to do a lot of dancing and stuff like that,
Yeah.
which killed. I mean, he's always been funny, but he's grown into his age a little bit.
Yeah.
Where his storytelling has matured with him, and he's still got it, but it's not 25-year-old
It's
Jon.
a tool he can use at any moment in
Yeah.
time, but the writing or the attention to joke details probably taking more credence as opposed to relying on selling the joke
Right.
that you need to do when you're younger, when you're not as prolific, and I count myself in that category
Me too.
So when I see him, and the dance bits he did the show recently. I think it was the two episodes ago, but that closing bit where he'd come out and do the hog and the lawnmower and all that stuff. I mean, I know he could look down on that. That's a bit. You do that at a club, you're crushing.
Yeah.
Crushing. You're selling merch now because of that, because you did that bit.
Well, not only that, the group of guys that I came up with, you had to kill or you didn't move ahead.
Yeah.
Comedy's not like that anymore. Like, you don't work your way up from MC, oh, the feature can't follow him, move him up. Oh, the headliner can't follow him, make him a headliner.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to have him come twice a year and build a crowd here. Those days are gone.
Yeah.
It's, hey, this guy takes a mallet and hits himself in the head with it, and he can sell 400 tickets in 10 minutes. So that stuff is gone. So that whole generation of us, and everybody wasn't like that, but a lot of us were, hey, I just got to blister the guy that goes after me.
Yeah.
I'm going to hammer that dude. No one can follow this. No one could follow that dance bit.
Well, TikTok has created a way to leapfrog.
Yeah.
Doing it the old-fashioned way, which is earning your stripes here on these stages. But Jon Reep, I think we can both agree, is one of the most entertaining human beings in comedy. I think he's very underrated via the industry, but I'm glad to see him making such a huge mark. And obviously, you're helping to do that with him on tour. I know he's got a big podcast, Country-ish. And given the circumstances why he moved back home, they're very noble. He's doing it for his family, but he's still out there. He's grinding, and he's one of those people. When you walk into a green room and you see Jon Reep, you're like, oh, maybe I will have fun tonight.
Yeah,
maybe I'm gonna have a good time.
I'll tell you something about him moving back to take care of his parents and everything, and to be there with his family and all this stuff. He's not just saying that, because we had opportunities to go to Vegas, and he's like, it's too far. I'm not. Yeah, and I'm like, okay.
So he's a good guy too,
Great
guys,
guy,
okay? Not only is he fucking funny, he's got a heart of gold. And guess what? Still single, ladies. Let's watch a clip of Jon Reep. He will die alone.
I say, well, I love him to death. They're about to say something horrible about another human being. Sounds nice at first, too, right? It's like, no, I love him to death, but... like, he beats puppies. He does. With kittens. It's the damnedest thing. He'll take a kitten and then hit a puppy with it. He calls it cat dogging. I love him to death. Same thing if you hear bless his heart. We all know that one. That's the worst one. If you hear somebody say, bless his heart, they're about to talk some shit. Yeah, and it will be the worst thing you ever heard. It's like, bless his heart, but he is a pedophile. He is. He's a racist pedophile. And he's got a club foot. But I love him to death! You can say anything you want, as long as you throw a God forbid at the end. God forbid's a racer. You know? Like, it's like, well, if Uncle Larry got hit by a train one day, and like maybe he lost both his legs, and maybe we had to push him around on skateboards rest of his life, God forbid.
That is so great. Yeah. So great. Again, you're throwing in the curveball, like, he beats puppies, and then the curveball is with kittens.
Kittens,
yeah. And then the bit becomes cat dogging. It just he's trumping himself. He's digging deeper holes. Yeah, and I know we were talking about John's energy. The energy comes now in. But I love him to death.
You're right. That was the
and
pop.
That's his way of physically acting it out. Just even like he did this thing with his hand when he delivered the first joke, and he's not like athletic, right?
Right.
So you're just seeing this unathletic, very funny, quick arm movement, and it just, again, it accentuates it in like a very Jon Reep kind of physical way. I don't know what is funny about that. I'm sure if we disseminated and really, but it's just that made me laugh.
Do you think though that in his mind it looks like that?
No.
Because I do stuff on stage that when I see it on a recording, that's not the way I foresaw it in my head happening. Like you said, athletic.
Right.
I feel like I'm still 25 sometimes, but the way I move on stage, and I wonder if he knows that it's a silly.
I bet he does that. He doesn't even know he's doing that.
Right.
And if you recorded that set Friday early, late, Saturday early, late, and Sunday show, and went to that, I guarantee he'd do that.
Same chop.
He'd do that same chop every time because it's part of the joke. It's part of the melody. It's part of him selling it. That's what I would think.
Yeah. He's got his writing, you know, like the stories about his dad and about growing up and things like that. The energy, it just seems more mature to me. It's not erratic. It's emphasized. Like the sound, bam.
It's specific.
It's specific, and it's not, the whole thing isn't bam, 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 bam. It's like boom.
Slow roll,
You know what I mean?
exclamation
Yeah.
point, slow roll. Yeah. I think what's really smart about that bit too is that he's taking these everyday terms that you'll hear at a Waffle House, at a Denny's, at a Walmart from, North Carolina all the way to Arizona. Anybody with a southern twang or whatever, and you're going to hear those terms or phrases all the time. And Jon just found a great way to make it so relatable, and here's why you say those things.
Right.
I don't know. It just made me really appreciate the broad scope of that bit, which I don't think he intends to do. I think he's just writing about what he knows.
Right, and it writing about what you hear every day, and he's just kind of calling out the bullshit on, like, it really doesn't mean bless his heart. Like it kind of, and people use it and think they're getting away with something, and he's just kind of pointing out, you're really not getting, we know what it is. Like it kind of pulled the curtain back a little bit.
Yeah, I got to say, this one out of 10, I would normally give this set of jokes an 8 out of 10, but because he's working out so much and showing off these beefcake pictures, I'm going to go 4 out of 10.
4?
Yeah. Just on appearance. Because I miss Doughy John. I don't like this diesel triathlete Jon Reep, who this right here will always be a 7, and no matter how shredded this gets, it's still a 7.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna give that bit a 4 out of 10 because of the body. I shouldn't say that. I love Reep. By the way.
Because if we were doing that, then James and Dan get a 2 for the body. If we keep that going.
That's right.
There's not a whole lot of.
No, I would also give that bit an 8 out of 10. I love him. I love Jon.
I'd give it a 9.
9, yeah?
Yeah, I think of all 3 that we watched,
I'd go with you on that. Yeah. For this specific episode, I'd give it a 9 out of 10. I mean, it's fucking funny.
Yeah.
It's really funny. Bless his heart.
Yeah. And just knowing him. It's weird when I know all these. You know how it is, like you watch your friends and you respect different little things that they do, or something they've kind of worked on, or something.
We're just going to have Cat Williams and Tracy Morgan episode. You're wrong.
And then
I never met these guys.
I have no idea.
Yeah.
These guys, I've had to sit and watch whether I wanted to or not.
Right. You're forced to. Force feeding.
But also it's interesting because it reminds me. Like, those were old. Jon's wasn't, but James and Dan's were older.
Sure.
And it reminds me of those times in my life. And it's hard for me to watch them and not go back to those places of what I was doing when, the punchline where James's was, I spent days and days, just watching every single, Brian Regan, Anthony Clark, ding, ding, boom,
Sure.
boom, for, 2 years.
James.
So
Gregory. Yeah. Let's watch it. Yeah.
I remember that guy.
I love it. Okay, here we go. This is our final clip of the episode. Now, as you know, I forewarned you. This is going to be one of the two of us. Now,
Right.
I've had the pleasure of having mine, and I'd rather take the shrapnel, but it might come up you. Let's see who it is
And
between
be
you
honest, give it to me. I'm fine if it is me.
and I. Okay, here we go. Let's see.
Be you.
Oh, it's you. It's you, buddy.
No.
It's you. It's Reno Collier. Any thoughts on this comedian? Do you enjoy watching yourself?
No. Hate
You can't
it.
watch yourself.
Hate it.
Yeah.
I hate my voice, my laugh. Like, I hate the whole, I can't stand it.
Right.
Like especially on hosting things, like reality TV shows I've hosted and stuff.
Yeah.
It makes me physically, like, I've got to turn
Makes your
this
skin
off.
crawl.
Yeah.
It's amazing. You do this for a living. You entertain, thousands over Friday, thousands over Saturday. This is your livelihood, and you hate hearing the very thing that all these people
can't
are
stand it,
coming
and
in.
it messes me up.
Yeah.
Like I don't want to see, like when you said John goes like this,
Yeah.
I don't want to catch one of those because if it's getting a laugh and then I get subconscious about it, like,
Yeah.
like pulling your shirt up or anything, it's like, I don't want to, I want to see it the way I see it in my head.
Right.
I don't want to see it the way they see it. I know what makes them laugh.
Sure.
So I want to keep that. So picking up on, and then as soon as I just had an album come out and I listened to it, my laugh, when that gets stuck in my head and then I hear myself do it when I'm genuinely laughing, it just makes me like, oh my God, dude.
Well, you know how earlier how you said Seinfeld, they wrap everything up in a nice bow? The reason we do this on this show is to do the opposite of that. So let's watch a clip of Reno Collier and make him sick to his stomach watching a clip of himself. And I hope to God you're laughing in this. And this is where the courtesy laughs stop, Reno.
Yeah.
Hold of yourself.
I enjoyed parts of that of the bits, but what I enjoyed just as much, if not more, is you cringing, wincing, pulling back. Oh my God! Because you were talking about your laugh, and then you heard it, and I just saw you go.
Dude, it hurts me in the interior of my bones.
Was it a tick? Was it like a tick to pull your shirt up? Was
I
that
do
an
it all
early
the
thing?
time.
Or you still do it?
I still do it. I
Okay.
just kind of, it's when I'm comfortable. It sounds weird, but it's when
Like
I'm
self-soothing.
comfortable. Yeah, I just kind of do it like, but
You do the Al Bundy.
yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of just, it's when I'm really feeling, but those were different days, man. Like, like that was back in my
Cherub, happy. Look
Yeah,
at him, right?
Really?
Yeah.
That was doughy.
Doughy. When was that?
That's probably been 10, no, longer than that.
I was going to say, if that was 10 years ago. You've
15 years ago.
you've aged.
Yeah.
I think you did a term in office.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, I mean, you look great, but you look so young in that bit.
I know. If I don't have a beard, I still kind of look, but I mean, I'm getting white hair and stuff like that.
Yeah, we're all
But
getting there. Yeah, but I mean,
That's
like-
probably been more than 15 years ago.
yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah.
Yeah, 10. It's like
Not 10. It's been 15, maybe even more than that.
10. If that was 10 years ago, you went through a real traumatic experience.
Yeah, I got a lot
Since then.
fatter than that. Like I got
And then when did you slim it down?
5 years ago when I quit
Okay.
drinking.
See, like you working out is like great. You're like a Hollywood 8 now.
All right.
Reep's
a 6 or
Reep's
something?
still a Southern 6. It doesn't matter what he does. The thin lips, just that. He looks like his face looks like a jack-o'-lantern. Like a
thin
happy jack-o'-lantern, just this ginger jack-o'-lantern with thin lips, and then abs.
Right.
I don't know. I love that dude. Okay, but I got to tell you, the shampoo line about washing your ass with shampoo, that, I mean, genuinely, that was fucking funny. It was really funny. And I was like, please don't say you fart bubbles. Just don't say you fart bubbles because, we've heard something like that along the road, and you didn't. I was like, oh, good. Okay, I can shake his hand when this episode's done.
Right. Dude, there's a lot of stuff that I've said over the years that I wouldn't want to shake my own hand. Like,
Oh,
where I'm
believe
like,
me, same.
dude,
Same,
what
buddy.
are you? Didn't you think about that? Like, didn't you?
Same.
And it is weird. Like, everything I'm writing now is, that stuff was true. I mean, I was washing my butt with shampoo because I didn't buy
Every
soap,
guy
and it's
did that before he got
$2
married. It
and,
was,
you know,
that's a great joke.
but now I'm dug deeper into real stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to act like I'm some savant or something, but just compared to and that,
Yeah.
I've moved out of it, but that was so much fun doing those jokes because they were so stupid.
Right. And at that time, they crush.
Yeah.
They crush. And look, like the minute you did the ketchup bottle thing, like I have a joke that is not the same, but it's like
Hack.
farts are. But the old farts are funny kind of thing or whatever. And when you're young, yeah, that's what happens. And I think in your 20s, you're kind of on the surface, right? And there's times you tell jokes where an audience member could mouth the punchline to somebody. And it's like, because you haven't done enough work. You didn't go to the mine yet. And I
Right.
think the older you get, the further down in the mine you go. which means you're really mining for some gold. And I'm as guilty as that as anybody. But I got to tell you, it was a lot of fun to watch that clip.
Oh,
it was fun. It was energetic. You're likable on stage, obviously. You could see why you've had deal after deal after deal after deal. It's a unique voice, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. I mean, the line that I really enjoyed was, after using the body wash and you're smelling like Nilla Webb, you want some milk now.
Right.
It's like,
It's so
great. Yeah. It's a great
but
joke,
it's
though.
true because you do. I mean, you know what I mean? Like it's
smell
like,
like
oh,
dessert.
you know what goes with this is milk.
Yeah.
Like it kind of.
It's the Buffalo Funny Bone. General Mills is there. So whenever you're out in the city of Buffalo, it smells like cereal. So I was like, walking around, I want some milk.
Yeah.
And I made reference to whatever, but I thought of that when you were doing that bit, but I enjoyed it. Now, knowing yourself, knowing your body work, knowing that moment in time, this moment in time, what do you give this yourself an 8 out of 10? And be fair to yourself.
6.
Come on.
7.
You're being harsh.
No, man.
You're comparing your new material to what you were doing then. I think you got to go back to it's probably 2008 maybe.
Yeah, or
2010
7.
something like that.
Yeah.
And I think for that time period, that's the best material you have. I'd be pretty proud of that act.
It was fun. It was
Yeah.
fun to. It's such. Dude, I don't want to get all deep or anything, but it's such a different mindset.
Right.
And my forefront in my mind was just having fun.
Yeah.
In every aspect of my life. Like there was no.
And you were in that.
And
Yeah.
I was having a blast. I'm still having fun.
Yeah.
Probably more fun, but just different.
Yeah.
So it's hard to watch it. It's painful. Like, dude, when I started laughing at that, like
Right.
I'm like, God dang, why did I do it? And
But
it was
it's
a
part
crutch.
of the joke, though, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was. It
Yeah.
was. And it was part of the I'm gonna pull you into this kind of
You're
like,
giving when you're laughing, they're laughing, but you're almost giving them license to enjoy the joke as much as you are. I think sometimes there's people, in YouTube comments or whatever, they go, oh, I can't believe this person's laughing at their own joke. It's like, no, they're enjoying the moment.
dude,
I think they're
I
enjoying
was
the moment.
really having fun.
Yeah,
And
especially
I
at
really
taping.
do. Yeah. And I really do laugh. I genuinely laugh, but it's not always at what people think I'm laughing at.
Right.
Like I see something in my head that goes with the joke, and I see somebody and I go, that's it, right?
Right.
Bam. And then I'm laughing because I'm watching their face or I'm laughing. I want to have fun, and I want people to watch me and forget about stuff.
Right.
Like I'm not trying to change your mind.
When I
on
watch you,
anything.
I forget about comedy. Sorry, you just set me up.
I forget why we're here. I forget why you're here, Reno. As I watched that, I was going, did we not vet this guy?
You are right, because sometimes you tell a joke and you see a guy dying in the front row.
Mm-hmm.
Dying in the front row. Now, he's laughing because the joke is good. It's really good. But now his reaction would make me laugh. And now I'm laughing, not at the joke that everybody else, I'm laughing because that dude is dying at that joke.
Yeah.
And he understands why I wrote that joke.
Right.
So you have this kinship, and it's like, you get it. Now we both get it.
Now I like that dude, and now I'm going to start just hammering him and
You're gonna
make him
pamper
piss his
Yeah,
pants.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it is true. Sometimes you're laughing at things the audience doesn't know you're laughing at.
Right.
Which is a very fair point. There's times I laugh in the situations, but I do so much crowd work lately here at Zanies because I feel crowd work is another muscle. Roasting's a muscle. Writing, obviously, and storytelling's another muscle than just standard, set up, punch.
Yeah.
There's all these elements to comedy. I'm trying to get better at each one of them. So when I come here, I just do crowd work. And I think sometimes the only times I really laugh on stage is when I say something that is so, I'm like, I can't believe I fucking said that. Holy shit. And they're laughing, and now I'm laughing along at the fact that I'm like, if there's a camera in here, I'm never working again. Like,
Right.
Oh my fucking God. But it worked. And there's a shock of it.
I
like,
love
holy
crowd
shit.
work.
Crowd
I
work's
think
my favorite
There,
thing to
there
do.
was a guy years ago, his name was Jim Brick, and I don't know if he had a joke.
Right.
And I only saw him intermittently at clubs and stuff,
Right.
but he walked out on stage and he went right into the crowd
Right.
and for 30, 45 minutes. And I used to stand in awe, just like, so I love just trying it a little bit.
Right.
And now, if it's the right thing, if it's not a second show Friday, I love going into the crowd.
Oh, yeah.
And it helps me write. It helps me, with whatever's going on. That is, especially when you can get the crowd, you almost you mesh with them, and now you're one of them.
Yeah.
But you're still holding the microphone, you're still in the light, and you're still directing and pounding and hammering and going after.
But you're on the hook. And that's why you're going to get rewarded.
Right.
You're rewarded for
getting
yourself out of that hole.
Right.
And what I like doing is I like to dig the hole as deep as I can. So if you're black, right, I'm going to acknowledge you're black, and right there you're like, oh, you shouldn't say the black, and then you have your jokes to get out of that. But now I'm going to dig the hole with this black individual as deep as I can go to see, can you get out of this one?
I love it, dude.
And
I love it.
I think when you cut the blue wire, the red wire, and the audience reacts to that, it's really redemptive. Now, you're never getting on TV with that,
right?
But I think it does help stretch the rubber band for you, taking the joke further that you are actually writing. It's like, well, let me see how far I can go with this one then.
But don't you come up with great tags and things like that?
My God,
I mean,
yes.
it's almost a quicker. I'm not a sit down on my computer and go, today I'm going to write jokes about how my wife, I can't do that. I can't, but I can have a story in my head, and I'll just go up and throw it out, and then I'll kind of get the audience in it a little bit, and eventually it'll start to evolve because the pressure of being in the lights makes me write.
Right.
But if you told me to write 5 jokes right now, I'd be like, I don't know, dude.
Yeah, look.
But there's something about being under the gun that forces me to think of something funny, and then I can use it the next time, and then before you know it, it's 2 minutes, and now it's 3 minutes, and now bam, bam, okay? Dude, I've used
and you
stuff
come back
that
to
people's yelled out.
Yeah.
I've had somebody yell something out, and it triggers something in my head, and I come back, and then I'm like, okay, I have to remember that.
You got to do the crowd work show that I do. I do a show once a month here, and I stopped doing it for a little bit because I got caught up with my writing, but I'm going to start doing it again. You got to come down.
Dude, I'd love to.
You just come up, nothing prepared. You just fuck with the audience.
Yeah.
And my favorite line is, who else's night can I ruin? Because I'm just like, they're just pounding these poor people. But it's so fucking fun. It's one of the... It's an exercise I started to work on, I'd say, the last 3 or 4 years, and it's brought my joy back into the world of stand-up comedy, because there was a moment where it was becoming a job again.
Yeah.
It was like, for the first time, it feels like work.
You're not grinding because you don't know what you're going to say, and it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
I love it. I do it especially when I know I can, and it's not going to, if it spins off into, a second show Friday and it's packed and everyone's screaming, I just bam, 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 bam. But man, if I feel like on a Thursday or whatever, I do 20 minutes of it and love every second of it and get off stage feeling revitalized.
Yeah.
Like, that was fun. Like it was, you know what I mean?
Because that show will never happen again.
Right.
The show you do with material can happen Thursday, can happen next week in Tulsa, could happen a year from now in Idaho.
Yeah.
But when you're doing crowd work, that specific show will never, ever, it's a confluence of circumstances that'll never occur again.
Yeah.
And from it, you can derive your liners, your one-liners, you got an arsenal of weapons to use at your disposal. But if you're truly playing off it,
that's the best.
It's
man.
the best. It'll never happen again. So speaking of never happening again, we will not make you watch an audio clip of yourself never again. Okay, next time it'll be me.
Good.
I cannot tell you how much fun it was having you here, and we got to do it again.
Dude, I would love to. This was a blast.
Thank you. And where can folks keep up with you?
RenoCollierComedy.com.
Very nice.
And Twitter, whatever. I'm an old dude. You know what I mean? Like, just write me a letter.
Yeah. Just write me
my phone number is 615. Like, I don't know.
Fashy, on Rotary. But Reno, it was a pleasure getting to meet you.
Dude,
Thank
I
you
loved it.
so much. And I know we have many stories to unpack as episodes come along. But again, thank you so much to everybody watching. Give them a follow. It's Reno Collier. We're here at Comedy Pinata every Monday. Rate, review, subscribe. Keep the comments coming. I've been seeing what you guys have been writing on iTunes. Thank you guys so very much. Truly appreciate it. Back next week with some more comics. And thank you again to Taylor and Adrian and Georgie. And, of course, the fine folks at Zanies. We'll see you next time. All right, my friend.
Dude, that was fun.
Painless,
man.
huh?
No, dude,
Yeah.
it was